The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your host, Nicole Hutchison.
What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Aisha Morrison, Bonnie Jo Laughlin, and
she gonna do it.
Jasmine.
I like that.
Had to do it. Bring a little energy.
I like the way you say it, though.
Thank you. Thank you. The little...
Yeah.
You're sick of me. I know. I'm going to call one for Aisha and Bonnie Jo. It's going to be like... Aisha.
She about to create a whole intro song
for everybody.
Bonnie Jill. Something like that. I'll come up with something. Ladies, how y'all feeling? Y'all feel good? Practice good? Locker room good? How y'all feeling?
Like being in the locker room today actually put me in a good mood.
Yeah.
Like everybody was so happy.
Good energy.
It was like it was infectious. I hope they carry that with them into the weekend because sometimes people perform better when they're just like in a more elevated mindset. And so I don't know what they were so excited about because Thursday is supposed to be the hard day. But they were in a good mood. They were rowdy. They were loud, energetic, and I was like, okay, this this is fun.
I think they know they can get a dub. I think they know it's potential.
They do.
It's
They
right
do
there,
seem
coming off the
confident.
bye, right? They're re-strategize, they're focused.
Yeah.
They feel good.
And I know typically on Thursdays, they come in there like irritated, tired.
Half day.
I agree.
Half dead.
Yeah.
So you're right. It was good to see a little
Wondering why we're in there.
sweaty. Absolutely.
Sweaty.
Because they didn't put in that work.
They were still sweaty.
Bloody
Yeah, that
tape.
part.
They were still sweaty.
Yeah. Well, while we wait on the injury report, hopefully it comes out soon. But we didn't get a chance to touch on Brandon Aubrey in jury duty. Mike McCarthy actually talked about that today in the press conference and just basically saying that, they do still have a plan. He has come in to kick since he has missed practice yesterday. Now, I don't know if he's missed practice today because of the fact that we don't have the injury report just yet. But just thoughts on that because the possibility of even thinking of Brandon Aubrey missing a game on Sunday, which I don't think will happen. But just the possibility.
I mean,
There's no way they let that happen.
Yeah, no way.
no, it's no way they let it happen. But one thing I find interesting about it, and it's hilarious to me, is that like I've seen even on Twitter, like former receivers be like, they would have got me out of that. So I'm just like, dang, kickers ain't.
That's what I was
going to say
how they
that too.
didn't get him out of it. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
especially
feel like
Jerry.
He should
You
be well known enough.
Yeah.
To,
He's our MVP.
But he's a kicker.
Leading
And
scorer.
it sounds, and I think that's like
Okay,
what
they
they
say,
like, the kicker's not part of the
like
team?
One of the
And
only
instead of-
reasons why I
instead
would
of
think.
saying, "Oh, well, he's the kicker," he's the best, most
Yes,
consistent player on the
thank
team.
you.
Right now.
And that's
Thank
even more,
you.
and that's even more reason why I thought like, why would you? I wouldn't even risk the possibility of him not being able to play because baby, he scored all your points last week.
Yeah.
Right.
Leading scorer.
So
on the
what we
team.
doing?
Can we talk about it?
What are we doing?
Because if that was CD, there's no way he's
MVP
going
needs to
he's
go.
going to jury duty.
Absolutely
MVP
not.
needs to be ready to go. You
Absolutely.
understand? So
Well, you know who else needs to be ready to go?
the
But
whole
jury
team.
duty's Monday through Friday, right? So we don't have to
Yeah,
worry
that's-
about Saturday,
yeah,
Sunday.
for sure.
Okay. So
I ain't never
either.
had jury duty.
Well,
so
neither
I
have
don't
I.
I've never been with a
What's
baby.
going to be the thing is he's got to be back in time to be there again on Monday because from what I hear, there's a pretty big case that's not going to be over
Yeah, it's like
quickly.
a third degree.
It is.
Third degree murder,
charge or something like
yeah.
that.
They travel. He got to travel, yeah.
yeah, and they leave right after the game, so they should be good. Well, it is Sunday night.
But
Yeah.
To be cutting it close.
they
but-
said he's been getting kicks up. The only thing that I would think about, not trying to be extra deep, but we talked about it. You've mentioned it plenty of times. These players have routines. They have a way they do things. They have a way, like the practice time, all those things. So I would hope that he's responsible in this sense, but I would hope that there's they're trying to make sure that he still feels comfortable because we know, especially with kickers, it is very much routine, timing.
They're very superstitious, a lot of them.
Very much so. So that would be like my only thing. Hopefully we get to ask him or someone gets to ask him, like, how did this change your routine for the week and how did you adjust to that?
We actually got Brandon Aubrey for
Cowboys hour.
Hour.
He did.
Goodness gracious. And so he was telling us about how many times they actually do kick in practice, and it's only 20 times. 6 live kicks throughout the week of practice. So I don't know if it will change. That's something I guess.
Hopefully we can get it in still, maybe.
Oh yeah, no.
You
I
know?
think Mark McCarthy actually mentioned that he
was getting
has
kicks up
Yeah,
after.
he's getting
Okay,
kicked
so-
up after the jury duty. Yeah. So Sorry, never been to jury duty, so something new to me. But no, someone else, another group that has to actually come to play on Sunday is this offensive line. And when you talk about the test that they do have going up against this 49ers defensive line, just what tests do they bring? I'll start with you, Aisha.
I will say, like, this defense is a little bit more simplified than it has been in past years as far as, like, what they're doing, but it starts with their defensive line. I mean, it sounds like I'm on repeat with most teams, but it does. It starts with Nick Bosa and his suddenness and his speed and power and how they're able to kind of play off of that. They have lost quite a few guys on that defensive side of the ball. They had Javon Hargrave last year. Greenlaw went out with the crazy Achilles injury in the Super Bowl. Hufanga, the guy on the back end, the safety. So they do have guys that are like young guys that are coming in to fill in, but their defensive line and what they do really sets up the rest of the defense to have success. They're fantastic at stopping the run. They're 16th in points per game, 4th in turnovers forced. It's still a good defense now, and where they make their money, and this is what the Cowboys struggle with, is that they can rush 4. They can rush 4. They can drop 7 in coverage. So these receivers who we've been kind of talking about creating separation and all that stuff, they're going to have to be able to find zones and spots in zones and stuff to beat this team. I hope this offensive line can hold up long enough to get some plays off.
Yeah, you said it perfectly, because they rush for the 3rd highest rate in the NFL this season, and their success rate ranks 6th highest in the
That's
NFL.
a luxury, and that's something that
Absolutely.
the Cowboys had last year. And that's why the secondary was even able to play as well as they did. So just a stout defense. Some differences on the back end. I do think some of those young guys have their fair share of mistakes and stuff like that, but man, they still play sound football, and they're not going to make it easy on your offensive line. What you got?
Things like that were why I was actually thinking about this, the things that this offense is going to be dealing with, the offensive line especially. It's almost like they're playing against themselves because of what the 49ers defense is good at. Even if they don't execute at 100%, even if they're not at the top of their game, a lot of it is so challenging for the offensive line, and even them just executing what they're supposed to execute, it's almost like that it's still going to be a struggle when you think about how much of what this offense needs to improve on is reliant upon the offensive line, especially when we talk about the run game and how it keeps just coming up that the blocking assignments and what the offensive line is doing is an issue. And then what you mentioned about, them sending 4. Yeah, to some people that might sound like it's an easier task, but like honestly, one of the issues with that is that when Dak is in a situation where his targets are covered, that's usually what makes him hold the ball a little bit longer. And so the way that he's been pressured so far this season, it kind of serves to reason that could be like doubly an issue for him holding the ball for a long time, and also with them being able to get to him more effectively because of how little time this offensive line has been able to keep them away from Dak. Sorry, I got distracted. The practice report is here.
You know who holds the ball more than anyone in the league? Brock Purdy. He's the quarterback that holds the ball the most, which is interesting. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, we talked about that yesterday.
Oh, did you? Yeah. So that's something I don't think people realize that. But when you talk about the offensive line, a solid pass protection and run blocking is something that I'm looking at right away. That's the thing. I think that to be able to handle the 49ers, that's what they're going to have to focus on.
It's going to be difficult. They got guys across this defensive line. I mean,
Bosa and Warner is, who you should be scared of.
Yeah, I mean, and Fred Warner doesn't come on much blitzes or anything like that.
He does everything. He can do everything, that guy.
He's
everything.
Fantastic.
Yeah. This injury, let me go ahead and read the injury.
Read it off,
fast.
sister.
Thursday's practice. Brandon Aubrey, of course, jury duty got the best of him. He did not participate. Deron Bland did not participate, still out for the foot injury. Kalen Carson listed as a full participant. Ryan Flanoy limited. Eric Kendricks limited. Shoulder injury. Sorry, I'm getting lost in my sauce right here. Michael Parsons did not participate. Jordan Phillips back on the practice squad. He was a full participant. John Stevens, a knee injury.
Sad news
so
this
sad
morning.
news too. Mike McCarthy just talking about that earlier in the press conference, just how sad it is to lose a guy like John Stevens. But another one, Nick Vigil did not participate. Foot injury. So out of those absentees, who's a surpriser? Who's someone that's a concern for you guys heading into Sunday as we get now closer?
What did you
to
say about
game time?
Kendricks? I'm sorry.
He was limited again. He was limited yesterday as well.
He's one of my most concerns. Obviously, not just
me.
Green Dot, but just the fact that he knows Mike Zimmer's defense. He really leads that defense. He's someone that this is leadership. You know, it's something that I worry about. So I really would like to have him playing in this matchup.
For me, it's mostly the Green Dot. Why I'm
Yeah.
worried about Kendricks, because I feel it's going to be especially important for this defense to be all on the same page and to know what to focus on and not get distracted by. Communication is going to be the utmost importance. And I mean, honestly, there are other guys who have done the job, but Kendricks is the best at it.
Exactly.
I know we touched on that yesterday with Green Dot and how much of an impact this could make if Eric Kendricks is not here or not playing on Sunday. And I heard from you guys yesterday. Bonnie Jill, I do have to ask you, with Eric Kendricks not, with the possibility of not him happening, who did you see being the Green Dot on Sunday?
Oh, God, that's such a tough one. I mean, because you look at Maurice, I don't know if he could handle it. Clark?
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of the
Potentially,
conclusion we
Damone
came
Clark
to.
is the only one I don't know, y'all. But
I
I'm
know
thinking he
is-
would be the best fit to replace. I hope that we don't have to worry about that, but that's who I probably would.
I was going
my
with
number one.
I think I said Maris yesterday, just because I mean you see how much trust that these guys have in him. Given him the opportunity last week, I know that not last week, the week before, but you have seen what he can do. I think he's growing in confidence as far as getting guys aligned correctly. But I think you do want to see Damone Clark.
And I
with
think
the
he actually
opportunity that he
was someone who
has.
actually played pretty well against the Lions, considering everything, the disaster there. I think he actually played pretty well.
He had some good moments.
Yes.
I know they told Maris that he did a good job.
He did.
That's what he said.
For
He
to
said
be a rookie and have that opportunity so early, I mean, I think that says a lot.
That's the thing that I asked him about today, how he felt as a rookie, possibly being the Green Dot against the Shanahan offense. And he did use the word nervous, which made me nervous.
Which is expected, though.
But he also seemed very much up to the task. It didn't seem like nervous like he's unsure of himself. It seemed nervous like he's in a new position. But he also said that now that he knows it's a possibility, he's preparing in a different way. He's preparing himself mentally. He said before he did not expect to have that opportunity and to be given that responsibility. And so now that he knows that it's a possibility, he has been preparing mentally and watching film differently. So I'm like, okay, that makes me a little bit more confident in your confidence.
I had a chance to actually sit down with him yesterday for 1st and 10 and asked him about did you expect your playing time to be this amount so soon? And he was like, I did, just because I felt like I was going to be playing a lot more special teams, but defense snaps, he didn't see himself really getting these opportunities. So it was good to hear him kind of be that honest and open about the opportunities he's getting.
Yeah, I mean, when he got drafted, I think the goal was for him to be the future Mike. I mean, everyone talked about his intellect, some of the things he did at the Senior Bowl, just some of the stuff that came down the well as far as his IQ and everything. So it's like, okay, most people view him as a Mike in general. But one of the things that I struggle with when you talk about the Cowboys linebacker situation, and this is kind of just it's happening again with respect, is they have not been able to get a consistent veteran in that room that is healthy and available for the young linebackers around him to learn. And it does, the linebacker position, it marries the secondary to the front of to the offensive line, the defensive line. They're so important as far as their communication and the reads and the information and the way they have to be sharp. And it really hurts my feelings in a way, that this will be the second time that a young player as a rookie is going to be thrust into this position to where you typically don't see that from the linebacker position. They put a youngin with an old and but good in, so they can get the position and learn. So I think it is, he'll pick up on it, he'll figure things out, but that is something that we're kind of starting to see as a trend this last 4 years almost with the linebacker position, is that the Cowboys have not been able to, number one, develop a veteran that is healthy, that can stay. We had Leighton Vander Esch, he dealt with his injuries. To develop a linebacker that can stay and be here and teach these guys, and them learning on the fly is beautiful, and I think he's going to do a great job, but it just sucks in the retrospect of what that position calls for.
Well, I think
That's a great point.
they were also hoping to rely on Leighton Vander Esch and not expecting his career to end so abruptly. And But I think that's where you also look to have Damone, kind of fill in with last year being that guy. But obviously the different struggles they faced there, having to bring in Marquise Bell. Just a lot of struggles in that linebacker room. But I think that they were really hoping that Leighton Vander Esch was going to be that veteran.
We all
to
thought.
help,
They for sure thought that, but I
And
don't.
then they thought the same thing about Kendricks with
Yeah.
But I
There we
don't
go,
like
yeah.
the thought. I don't like the thought.
I get what you're
given the
doing.
fact that, unfortunately, all respect to Kendricks, Anthony Barr, Jalen Smith when he was here, every linebacker that they've brought in here, the veteran types or the guys that have developed into veterans, all of them had injury history before they were brought here. And it's unfortunately showed up here, and the guys that have gotten the short end of the stick are your young players, because even with Damone Clark, it was a revolving door with the veteran linebackers, so he can't even get like a full grasp for what the position calls for and stuff like that. And that's why we heard the players talk so highly of Kendricks when he first came in, because it's like, dog, like he ain't seen it all. Like that's it, and for your position, different positions need that. Some guys can just go running back. You can get some coaching and go, but linebacker, you need somebody to be in there teaching you. So I'm happy for Maris, to your point, and I think the nervousness will go away. But I still feel I empathize with
At least he
him
was
having to
honest though
take
with
on
you. I
that
like
role.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wasn't trying to. I was a downer. Dang, I was like,
No,
I ain't trying to bring everybody down.
No, it's truth. It's truth.
We're still here.
Oh, my bad. I was like, dang.
We're going to take our first break, and up next we'll be talking more. We kind of veered off a little bit of our conversation. We're going to get back to the offensive line and the test that they do have in front of them in Nick Bosa and a couple of other guys. You're watching Girls Talk Boys Talk or listening to Girls Talk Boys Talk. We'll be right back with more.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
Watch party. The Cowboys take on the 49ers in Santa Clara at Levi Stadium on Sunday, October 27th. So we're hosting another free watch party presented by 7-Eleven. Join us at Miller Lighthouse at AT&T Stadium to watch the game with a Cowboys Nation. We're going to need y'all. Cue Thunderstruck because the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders are performing and Rowdy will be there to watch the game. Grab a Slurpee, of course, and cheer loud. Get your free tickets at dallascowboys.com/watch party.
And make sure to come out to the Ford Center. Actually, not the Ford Center. Outside the Miller Lite.
You gonna be there?
Area, because we gonna be there for
You gonna be
pregame
there?
live. There you go. Fans, come out, check us out. Pregame live.
Come meet Nicole.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I am a time. Come meet me.
Come meet Nicole.
But no, I know I wanted to briefly touch on offensive line, but I know we did that in the first segment a little bit. But we're going to switch gears a little bit because we're going to talk about this run game and how much they need to have some success or refine that success that they had in week 5 against Pittsburgh. Is this a game where you feel they can find some success? I'll start.
Yes, absolutely, because the Niners are allowing over 100 yards. They've done that the past consecutive games. They're having a little problem of stopping the run. It's funny, if you look at the Niners and the Cowboys, they're almost kind of comparable with certain situations, like both not being able to stop the run, so that's something to look at. And I think if we're going to have success with the run game, and let's just say that Dalvin is elevated, let's just say, because you're hearing things that maybe this is his time to finally get elevated. I think we're going to see something where they actually can produce and get some success in the backfield. And so I'm hoping that this is the time to do it with this Niners, especially with the Niners being banged up.
I think it's going to depend on what they decide to do. I think we haven't really seen enough consistency from the run game to actually know what to expect in terms of whether or not they'll be successful. And I think when it comes to our run game or the Cowboys run game trending upward, a lot of people think about the Pittsburgh Steelers game where Rico Dowdle had 20 carries, but they also did some different things in terms of the blocking scheme. So it's like, okay, if they can duplicate that, then sure. Depending on your definition of success, I could see them having an adequate run game at least where they should be able to use Rico to get down the field. And then, it sounds like a lot of people are wanting to see Zeke once they get in the red zone. So I'm like, by all means, let's use Rico in between the 20s. And then once we get in the red zone, see what Zeke does in that area. So I can imagine a scenario where the run game is at least adequate, depending on your definition of success. I can see it being successful. But I think a lot of it is going to depend on what version of the offensive line shows up and how they perform. So that's the thing.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was looking at my notes. Yeah, I mean, as far as their defense goes and how they stop the run, they've had some issues in, particularly in the middle of that defense.
Yeah, interior,
the front interior, because I ain't about to speak bad about Fred Warner on here.
Absolutely not.
That ain't my story. But yeah, I mean, the best thing to do with this team, because this team tackles pretty well, and they also, too, those young guys that are in the secondary right now, Renardo Green and Malik Mustafa, they like to come down here and tackle y'all. Like, they are.
And Mustafa's a beast. I mean, he had 13 tackles against the Chiefs. Yes, you saw Mahomes plow through him, which is crazy. But he actually he's that rook that Shanahan, everyone loves him. They think they can see him being potentially an all-pro at some point.
Yeah, very active in stopping the run. So as far as the Cowboys run game, to y'all's point, we'll see if they change some things up at the bye. We'll see if they find some things that they like. I think we have enough evidence to see that when they go combo and duo, it is successful. They've seen some success doing that. But I don't know how to say this in a nice way. Like, I'm not really. I think they can run the ball, but it's just one of those things. Like, until I see it, I don't really have a whole bunch of faith in it because they're not sustaining blocks well enough to do it. So hopefully they can, but
I also don't think it's going to be. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
I don't think it's going to be the thing to save the day this Sunday. Like, it's going to be important because
it'll just keep them honest.
Yeah. You need a run game in your offense,
Absolutely.
but I think at the end of the day, we're going to need to see bigger improvements in the passing game than we'll need to see in the running game in order for the offense to be successful overall. Because, especially when you're talking about, like you just brought up Fred Warner, the middle of the field. When it comes to them handling things in the middle of the field, they're doing a worse job against passes targeted to the middle of the field than they are when offenses attempt to have longer runs that go to towards the middle of the field. So I think if the Cowboys can take advantage of that, then that'll be the thing that gets them a little bit more success.
Yeah, they're going to be hard to fool. I think the way to do things with them is to maybe do things that the Cowboys don't do, like run out of spread formations and try to trip them up into thinking they're going to be covering, but they're not. I mean, because otherwise it's not going to be necessarily easy to run on this team. They got, like I said, they have Leonard Floyd in the middle. He's had 3 sacks on the year, forced fumble, and Malik Collins. They're not the best,
but they haven't been as solid as they have been.
Yeah, so they're not the best. They're not the best.
Yeah.
They can get moved off the ball. They can get moved off the ball. If this interior offensive line can create some movement, it'll make a difference. But I will say in regard to Bosa, one of the things, like we've talked about it with good edge rushers, how do you slow them down? You chip
them.
You run away from them and pray, or you run straight at their ass and make them pay.
Yeah.
I think it will be important for the Cowboys to do that, especially if this game comes down to being close. I don't want their edge rushers having energy at the end of the game to tee off. That's the beauty of like what Nick Bosa can do. So it's like, how do we find ways?
And he does have trouble, and you know this when he gets double teamed. Bosa does have trouble.
But I don't know if you have the luxury to double team.
Yeah, I know we don't. But I'm just saying that is something that if the Cowboys could.
Yeah, I don't know if you have the luxury. What you got?
Let me ask you something. Pose this to everybody, because Brian Schottenheimer was asked last week when coordinators talked and everybody talked to the media, what's the identity of this run game? Where do you feel like they can have the...
Here we go, the identity question again.
Where do you feel like this run game can have the most success as far as attacking defenses? And he said inside zone. Do y'all find some truth to that? Do y'all feel like that could be a way to attack this 49ers defense?
Yeah, but they got to be better. Can they be better at inside zone blocking? Sure.
Exactly.
They have to be stronger at the point of attack. They have to be the aggressor. Like,
hey, I'm just a question asker.
In theory, I think we're on the same page.
Right.
In theory, like when you think about what inside zone is supposed to do, could it be the answer? Yes. But the execution.
Can they execute? I was about to say, can they execute it?
The execution has been the issue. The lack of cohesion along the offensive line has been a big problem in a lot of areas with this offense. And them running using inside zone is another example of that.
Well, and to add to that, the Niners have an inside zone blocking scheme. Yeah. It's successful to them. And one of the reasons why it is successful for them is not just because of the initial blocking, because I don't think their offensive line is that great right now, like if I'm keeping it a buck. However, they do things like they try to get unbalanced looks. And what unbalanced looks are, they'll put Juszczyk and Kittle right next to each other, or motion the other one out last minute, or motion the other one in.
There's a lot of motion.
And what it does, again, it creates confusion, but it also, too, in the inside blocking scheme, it's like if this guy is on you or like you're right in front of him, you block him. If he's over you, you block down, which means that you're going to block the guy that's right next to you and block down. And then if he's inside of you, you're still blocking. Like if he's inside your shoulder, you're still blocking. What some of the unbalanced looks do, and things like moving Juszczyk inside right next to Kittle, right behind the tackle, makes confusion for the defense on like, who is my guy? And that's what allows a free rusher. The Cowboys can't do that type of stuff because they can't get the initial execution down, but also too the pre-snap penalties. I really believe that Mike McCarthy tries to be careful in how much movement he has on the line of scrimmage. I hate it. It makes me want to throw up. But I understand the nervousness and like, my guys aren't getting the basic execution. I mean, we're in static sets and they're jumping. How do I incorporate some of the things that make an inside zone blocking scheme more interesting, more creative? How can he do that if these guys aren't playing their initial assignments? So it's like, hopefully they can start playing their initial assignments so we can sprinkle in some extra stuff. Maybe, kind of.
Hopefully. Sounds like some of what they worked on during the bye week. So it's like we'll have to see. A lot of what we see might end up being a surprise based on what they figured out.
No, I was going to say to your point to it, I like Aisha, we were speaking about how Purdy holds onto the ball so long, but you also see how, if you look at the rest of their offense, they're really good at being able to have that great time delay, and that gets people off their coverages. And so I've noticed that with the Niners, that they have a lot of success with that, and then the defense gets confused, and then they go off their man. And so that's something that I know that McCarthy was speaking about as well.
I had to laugh when you said the way to beat them is by doing stuff the Cowboys don't do.
Y'all are sick.
I'm not trying to be sick.
That's hilarious.
I'm not trying to be sick. I'm being
No,
honest.
but you're honest. It's true.
I know you are.
An inside zone blocking scheme, people do it all over the NFL. Like, and if you have guys that are powerful, you can just do it straight up. You can pull and pin people to death. You can have a great time. But if you don't have the guys that are powerful and stuff like that, then you add those little wrinkles. And unfortunately, that's where we're at with this offensive line. It's like they can't add wrinkles yet because they're not getting the basics down. So hopefully they do some basic stuff, man. I'm hoping.
Where's y'all's trust level in this offensive line right now? Bonnie Joe?
A number? Just in levels?
Just levels.
Tater tots.
Levels. Green, red, wait.
Oh, gosh.
Green, yellow, red. We're going to be elementary schoolers today.
What you got?
Go ahead.
It's tough because we knew that there's going to be so many growing pains with this O-line, right? And so that's the biggest thing I look at. You look at the left tackle and the blind side. That's something that she spoke about perfectly about the balance and what he needs to do with his body, Tyler, and is he ready for that and the strength? And then you got Tyler Smith who's helping along, and then you got Cooper who's a rookie, and then you've got Zach Martin, a future Hall of Famer. So it's like you've got some potential there, but you haven't seen the consistency and you haven't seen, I guess, the reps that they need to execute. So I see flashes where I go, yes, they're looking good and cohesive, and then there's times where it just seems like there's a lot of confusion. So what you said, level?
So green,
because I know, but I'm trying to think.
Green, yellow. Did I say yellow? Oh my goodness!
We knew what you meant.
Yellow, red.
I wasn't even going to acknowledge it.
Thank you.
Can I be?
I know what you meant.
What's in between yellow and red?
Orange.
Y'all really?
Ain't y'all
What
cheating?
color palettes y'all looking at?
Red
I was gonna
red
say
plus yellow is
orange.
orange.
Yellow.
Okay, well we ain't cheating today. We doing.
Can I say
green,
orange?
Yellow, red.
Okay, I'll say yellow.
I had to look back at the practice report to remember if Tyler Guyton was on it or not to answer this question. And he's not. So I'm assuming that means he's going to be playing on Sunday.
Who?
Who you talking about, Guyton?
Guyton.
Tyler, yeah.
Tracking.
Yeah.
So I'm going to preface this by saying I love Tyler Guyton. However,
Yeah.
See, here we go.
considering the fact that Nick Bosa spends time on both sides of the line and practically even, it gives me a red. Not only for the run game, but also for the passing game. What I was going to say earlier about Dak is that, like, when he does release the ball quickly, it's when he's under pressure. And while that might sound great, like, oh, yeah, he's getting the ball out quick, I feel like that's one of the things that's leading to a lot of the inaccuracy and the incompletions.
I agree.
Like, when he starts talking about, like, oh, well, I thought, or I thought I saw this, or I thought CD was going to do that. I think it's because he's under pressure, which he has been more often this year. And so it's leading to him getting these quick releases, but that are not going to the right place. So it's causing issues on the passing side of things and on the running side of things, and that's why it's a red. Because if it weren't Nick Bosa, if it was just some average person, I'd be like, Tyler Guyton has had an opportunity to fix some things. He did the across the hall things, yada, yada, yada. But last time we saw him, it was pretty easy for him to be picked on, which, I mean, is not his fault. I think they thought somebody else was going to be starting. And unfortunately, the thing that is getting him most times is something that is easily duplicable. And so I feel like if Nick Bosa decides, you know what, I picked on Terrence Steele last year. This year, the rookie's going to get it. It could be a big
disaster.
It could be a big issue. This is not the welcome back to the field that I want for Tyler.
That's where it also makes you kind of wonder if Mike McCarthy will go with moving Tyler Smith back to left tackle. Maybe
Just for this game.
It's a thought, but when they asked Shoddy
year.
about
This year.
it, when they asked Shoddy who they thought his best five was, he said the best five included Tyler Guyton. That's what he said.
All right.
And I don't know if maybe that has more to do with him not liking something that he saw from TJ Bass or something. I don't know, but that's what he said. So it leads me to believe that if Tyler Guyton is healthy, and actually that's what they said, if Tyler Guyton is healthy, he's going to be playing. Yeah. Which, good for him. I said this one time. I said there are a lot of players who come to the Dallas Cowboys and eventually they become such great players. People forget their rookie year struggles, but those rookie year struggles do exist. And right now it's Tyler Guyton's rookie year, and he's had some struggles. And I haven't seen him overcome them to the point where I feel confident that he can counteract whatever Nick Bosa feels like he's going to do to get to Dak Prescott.
The tight ends, the running backs, Hunter Lipke.
I mean,
Come on
yes,
now.
Yeah, we're going to need them. Yes,
Y'all
we're
gonna
going to
make
need
y'all
them.
money. Y'all gonna make y'all
Sick of you.
little change
And
on
then-
Sunday, boss.
And as little as they do it, maybe using Hunter Lipke as that lead blocking
would
for
love
the
that.
run
Yes.
game, maybe we need to
Yeah.
bust that out again
I
and
mean-
go that direction.
I would just be like, they're just gonna have to chip for him and keep him protected. I will say, Bosa did a number on Terrence Steele last year.
Yes.
Terrence Steele coming off that injury, but they got some history.
He was graded an 8 last year.
And that's why I'm saying that. I'm not
of
saying it
100.
to say get Tyler Guyton off the field. I'm saying we've seen what
Say that
Bosa
again,
can
He
do
was
to
graded an 8 on PFF out of 100 last year. He struggled last year. Terrence
Steele?
But Terrence, and the thing about Terrence Steele is if you're watching the games, he's not bad the whole game. He just has one sack, one pressure that you just like.
It's that when he's bad, he's awful.
Terrence, yes.
Statistically, he's actually doing better statistically. But remember why I said I got to learn to watch film, because film gives context to to the statistics, it's because of stuff like that. Because if you just look at the numbers with Terrence Steele, it looks like he's having a career year. He's doing great. But when you look at when he does mess up, it's just like, oh, that's why people are saying what they're saying.
That was rough. Yeah, they're gonna have to with Chip and Bosa in particular. You gotta make them. I said it yesterday. You gotta make them pay. Like it can't just be no love tap.
Yeah, you can't just chip him. You need the whole potato.
He crazy. Y'all seen his stance? He look like a cat. Like
you need the
first step. Have you seen his first step?
They call it. Don't they call it the Jaguar stance or something?
It's insane. Like I mean, and the thing about him also too is that he lines up so wide. And I talked to Terrence Steele about this last year also too, because the way that defensive players, defensive ends view it is that it gives them kind of a clear path to the quarterback, and they can gain some speed to just bend the corner. And I talked to Terrence Steele about it, and he just kind of was like, yeah, some guys think it gives them advantage, but I don't think it really does. And I'm like,
oh yeah, it did that.
Like sometimes, big bro, like it look like it kind of do, bro. Yeah. But lining up wide is something we're seeing more defensive ends do, and it does put a lot of stress on tackles, particularly young ones like Tyler Guyton that struggles.
It's harder. It's harder to predict the movement when they're that wide, and it's also harder to brace yourself for the impact. Honestly,
I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, it presents a lot of challenges that are just factual, whether you want to believe it's an advantage or not. Somebody who's able to do that consistently and so quickly, because like Bosa gets off the ball. It's not like his stance and where he lines up slows him down. Like he's getting off the ball. So yeah, they've got a challenge ahead of them.
Oh God,
I felt more positive on Tuesday's show. Now I'm like, oh.
I still feel like there are reasons to be positive. Like I still feel like they're going to they've talked enough about the change, and I didn't expect them to open up the playbook and show us what they're going to do, but they've talked enough about what they were facing before the bye week to make me feel like they've worked on it, and we're going to see some vast improvements in a lot of areas.
I hope so.
But I think it's going to be more so of our defense is going to have to step it up and take advantage of the struggles that the 49ers offense has been dealing with, and then also the Cowboys offense can't be making mistakes like they have in the past. Like a lot of the stuff that they've struggled with, they've got to really clean it up and get on the same page.
I think both teams are kind of in the same boat. You need your stars to step up and be stars who are healthy, and you need the few.
The ones that are healthy.
Yeah. The ones that are healthy. And you need your younger guys to step up as well as their younger guys that have to step up as well. So we're on an even playing field
That's
so far.
what I think. Yeah.
Hopefully the Cowboys come out on top. But up next, we're going to take our second break, actually. And up next, we're going to talk about who needs to be a game wrecker for the Dallas Cowboys defensively. So think on that one as we get ready to take our second break. You're watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk, and listening to Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll be right back.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby. The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that sixth ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Join the boys in the fight against cancer with the 2024 Crucial Catch Collection, and the NFL donates 100% of its proceeds from Crucial Catch merchandise to the American Cancer Society to provide cancer screenings and resources to underserved communities. So visit a pro shop near you or log on to shop.dallascowboys.com, a Fanatics experience, and help us intercept cancer today. Very important. Good stuff.
Very important. No, all right. You look at the 49ers, they have their game records. They got Nick Bosa, they got Fred Warner, you name it, they got them. Who needs to be a game wrecker? Not just X Factor. Game wrecker for this Dallas Cowboys defense. Let's go with defensive line.
What you got? We got some
defensive line
I was gonna go secondary. Yeah.
Okay, well, since we're going with defensive line, I'm gonna say Mozzie.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to try to do a lot with Jordan Mason just because of the reputation the Cowboys have developed for being unable to stop the run anyway. And I think between that and the understanding that Brock Purdy is, I don't want to use the word struggling, but I mean he is. Like just holding the ball for a long time, or when he does scramble outside the pocket, he's just horrendous. Like it's almost not even worth it. It's like completing 4 of 68. Good Lord, why'd you leave the pocket? I'm just saying. Yeah. So I feel like it's going to be up to Mozzie to both put a little bit of interior pressure and also to help stop the run in order to slow down the 49ers offense.
What you got?
I was going to say, we spoke a little bit on Tuesday, Chauncey. You know, if he could limit Bosa's impact, I'm thinking a little bit. And I don't know. He shows some versatility and techniques. So I'm thinking if maybe he can have a big game, I think that could be maybe not an X factor, but I think a game wrecker and cause some havoc.
Yeah, we definitely need
I would like to see it.
some pass rush off the edge with the way their tackles have.
He's got that quickness. I think he can do it. I just don't.
Yeah,
We'll see.
definitely need somebody to step up as a pass rusher. I agree.
Who else?
Donovan Wilson.
Yeah.
This is a game where
I said defensive line.
Barnacles.
I know, because I was going to say somebody else.
All right, let me switch it up. All
we go.
right.
All
Game record, defense as a whole. Who y'all got? Let's start it again. All right. Jasmine. Here we go. Try again.
We're starting again. Do over.
Well, you're the only person who hasn't talked
All
yet,
right,
so you
yeah,
talk
go.
about Dono,
Let me-
and then I'll say
let me
somebody.
make
and then
sure.
I have someone else too.
Defense as a whole. We're switching it up. Who needs to be a game wrecker?
Tell us about Dono.
Donovan Wilson.
All right.
Because
Why?
number one, they do a whole bunch of crossers and overs and stuff. And with Brock Purdy, he haven't been seeing safeties for real. So I would like for him to do some sneaky stuff. Then also, too, I would like to see a safety blitz up the middle. Their interior's been struggling, so maybe we'll get some of that. But in regard to their run game, he needs to be on cleanup duty. He needs to be the guy that comes down, fills his gaps when he's asked to, and is forceful. You know, like we always know the 49ers as like super duper physical. Nah, match it. Either match it or go above it. Like set the tone early. And Donovan has always been a tone setter for this team. He has not been doing that. And I think it would be huge, a huge boost for this secondary, but also a huge boost for this run defense if the safeties can play better as well. So, Donovan.
Who you got?
Donovan.
The physicality was actually why I was going to say overshown. Because I just feel like when it comes to bringing the physicality on the defensive side, he's one of the people who does it consistently. So this is one of the games where, you know, especially if they're having to do a lot more communicating when it comes to what they're seeing and what they need to do, he's going to be the person who has to maintain that consistency in terms of being physical, being in the right place at the right time, so on and so forth. Huh?
Can't believe you didn't say Osa.
I feel like I say Osa for everything. I gotta switch it up.
I couldn't believe it.
I'm dead. Go ahead, keep going.
But also Osa, because Osa's dope. Shout out to Osa.
Shout out to Osa.
And my brother.
You know who else would be nice to see in the secondary is to create some havoc is Diggs. If we could see him create some turnovers, because we know what kind of game he can change a whole game. So and when was the last time we had like a really nice turnover or pick six or anything like that? So I would love to see that. I think that would change everything, the momentum of the game.
Yeah, they need to steal. I think the Cowboys definitely need to steal possessions if they can and create turnovers. It's just so crazy.
I also feel like Trayvon Diggs is the type of person to be like, okay, y'all talked about me the whole
Let's
bye
step
week.
up, right?
I'm gonna show y'all.
Yeah, so I think he's due.
So yeah, when it comes to physicality, like he's somebody I'd like to see step up in that way.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What's up?
Do y'all think that the fact that he's now Trayvon has never really he's never been like a tackler.
Yeah.
We've seen him be physical. I recall the Eagles game a couple years ago where he got busy tackling.
Yeah.
But do y'all think it has anything to do with him just not want to get his knee banged up, not want to
That's
get
probably some
stepped
of it.
on, not want to get rolled
based
up on?
on-
And again, guys
Yeah.
can't play scared. Like if you out there, you got to play. But also too,
subconsciously.
it's
It could
something
be,
I
but
was
even
thinking
before
about.
he had that injury,
That's what I was saying.
he had issues. From what I see, I just saw somebody who's never been that great at tackling because he doesn't shy away from contact. It's more so that his technique doesn't work in every situation. He does a lot of let me hit you and bring you to the ground or disrupt your stride, that kind of thing. But when it comes to actually wrapping up on a guy, he's never been the strongest in that regard. So there have been some games where his style of tackling of like, let me just be like a speed bump and hope this dude like trips over me and falls.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, when that's effective, it's like, oh, look at he's bringing guys down, but he doesn't necessarily change his technique, but sometimes he needs to. So if he could just like I said, he doesn't shy away from contact and he'll hit really hard. But now a lot of guys have gotten used to going through a hit. So if he could learn how to wrap up and get used to that, I think he would be totally fine. But I think he has the heart. I think he has the will. It's just the technique is not there.
Let me tell y'all, cornerbacks is funny.
And the Cowboys, Nicole, are the
Cornerbacks is funny.
Cowboys?
They be
The
picking.
Cowboys are last in tackling, right?
They've been having a problem this year with missed tackles.
Yeah, that's what I
Missed
think.
tackles, I think
they're
they're
last in missed tackles, right? So that's something. Yeah, you could change that.
Which is why Jordan Mason is a concern.
That part.
Is that weird for y'all?
That they're so bad at tackling?
I understand that there has been a scheme
Sorry,
change.
Nicole. I know you're trying to get out, but
Oh,
I just.
my bad. I'm sorry. No,
We got time to
I just had to
go.
mention that.
No, you're good.
I understand that it's baffling to me. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around because I do think like tackling is a fundamental thing that you learn, and it's not something that just go away. You know, just be like, I can't tackle anymore. So, do y'all think it's weird that they not tackling well? Like I understand. Like again, there's something to be said about people running on you, like how people be running on them and stuff like that. But it's like sometimes it is missed assignments, like you're not in your right gap. But sometimes it's just, what tackling technique is this? And what's the difference? You think there's a difference with?
I don't think the scheme made them bad tacklers.
I don't
What
believe that
I think is that they've developed some bad habits because pretty much every year there's new rules and new focuses that have come out in regards to what defensive players are able to do. And we might look at it as like, oh, it's one rule change, but we got to think about the fact that officials send out all this communication about what they're going to be focused on, what they're looking for. And so defensive players always have in the back of their mind, okay, this is what could get me a penalty, and it causes them to change their technique every year. Now, you add that to the fact
I like that. That's a good, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what I think has happened is that during training camp, they probably learned a method of tackling that hasn't been as effective as they'd like. And then Coach Zimmer, by his own admission, said they haven't been working on tackling as much. He was asked about that directly and said that it was something that they need to focus on more after the bye week. So what does that tell you? Before the bye week, they weren't focusing on it. I couldn't tell you why. That would have been my follow-up question.
That's what I was
But they're just now getting to the point where they're going to be intentional about tackling form and technique. So maybe we'll see an improvement in that regard as well.
Who was it that said, I think, it sounds like something Isaiah said. We're talking about practice at weeks, what is this, week 8?
It's bananas. But like when you start listening to a lot of the responses that the coordinators were giving, it did sound like, practice has not been what it should be. I mean, even down to Mike McCarthy being like, maybe we should do less one-on-one and more group stuff. And I'm like, well, considering that football is played with 11 men on the field at a time, you think?
I don't know why you wouldn't.
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Obvious, yeah.
It's time to go.
That's great. Yeah.
This has been lovely. All right.
Sassy Jazz.
That's a wrap for today's episode. For Nicole Hudson, Aisha Morrison, Bonnie Jill Laughlin, and Jazz Monet. See y'all tomorrow.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!